Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to tonight's episode of Being Loved Shouldn't Hurt. I am here with Dr. Isabel Serrano. So, welcome, Dr. Isabel.
Hello, thank you.
I am so excited for all of you to get to meet Dr. Isabel because back in February, I was lucky enough to bring a group of women to Costa Rica on a healing retreat. And it was life-changing. And I have to say that one of the people that really stood out, one of the exciting things, because every single day we were doing yoga, but every day that Isabel was the yoga instructor, my ladies who sometimes would like he and haw about going would be like, oh, it's Isabel? Yay. And they would be really excited. So, it's one of those things like you're going through something really difficult, but to have something that you look forward to like that. And everyone just, shared how much they got out of Dr. Isabel. So I asked her to come on, especially in this time where everything is just so abnormal. I wanted someone who's got such great insight to come on and share with all of you. So thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. First, for having me over here with you. This is my first live broadcast, so it's exciting. And thank you for your words too. I think it means a lot to me. I do what I do because of that. I do what I do because of the people, because I care, and because I understand. So this is really important. So I'm very, very grateful to have this opportunity to be here with you, and with anyone who may have the opportunity to listen. In this very difficult moment when we need even more to be more present, to be more mindful, to learn to connect. So that's what I'm hoping that you can get a little bit out of today from our conversation. And I'm sure you mentioned that, but please ask any questions you have.
Yes. And thank you for that. As you're watching this, anyone who's watching this, if you're watching it live, great, ask questions. I will ask Isabel questions if you have them for me or for her, I will share them if you have questions. But if this resonates for you, make sure we get some likes, some comments, and shares. If this is something that you're like, oh, wow, this is really, because you're going to get a lot out of it. And I definitely recommend, we're going to go from 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right till 9 o'clock. So it's only a half an hour and you're going to get a lot of really great stuff. So definitely stick around for the entire 30 minutes and, ask your questions. And if for some reason we can't get to it live, we will go back and answer them later. So let's just start out by letting everyone know, how did you get to this place? And you're a yoga instructor for anyone who missed that, if I didn't say it to begin with, but how did you get to this place of deciding to become a yoga instructor and do the things that you do?
Thank you, Stephanie, for the opportunity. I am a holistic health coach, and I did not stumble into this path. It was no accident. I think everyone who's in the well-being business, in some kind of healing art, it's because we have had our own personal transformation. And so that's what landed me on this career. So I gave up a career in academia and decided to devote my time to supporting others in their own personal path to transformation. Because it had such a big impact in my life, I decided to make this a formal career and support anyone who may need it. So I specialize on inner harmony, guiding others, anyone who may be needing that kind of support, guiding others to heal their relationship with themselves. Because through my own transformation, I realized that no matter what kind of imbalance you're feeling in life, whether it's physical, whether it's exterior, at work, at home, in your life, it all stems from a lack of connection with yourself. So your relationship may be broken. And I know people don't want to hear that, and they may feel bad when they hear that, but it's more common than we think. That's all of us, right? Because nobody teaches us since we are, very young, to focus on our relationship with ourselves. So that's what I work on the most. So all of that transformation led me to yoga. I've practiced yoga for over 15 years, but a couple of years ago, I decided that because it's what helped me heal my relationship with my body, my physical body first, and then my inner body as well. more than anything else I had tried in my life, it's the best way for me to connect internally and externally, So I
Mhm.
decided that I wanted to share that experience as well. So for me, I'm first a health coach, a holistic health coach, and then a yoga and mindfulness instructor. But it all blends together, and I
Yeah.
love the opportunity to be able to share that. And you experience my yoga practices, and you know that I always combine mindfulness and overall well-being in every of the classes because they all go together. And so it's a beautiful opportunity that we get to practice that on the mat.
Yes. And like I say to clients all the time, is what happens on the mat is happening in your life. So all
That's
those
right.
things, it's one and the same. And so was there like a before and after? Like, was there a defining moment where you said, "Oh man, like things have to change"? What was that? Do you mind sharing that?
Well, for me, my need to go within came through overweight. So I struggled with overweight more than all my life since I was 11, 12 years old. Always going on diets, exercising like crazy and trying all the external changes that people tell you have to do, focusing on action steps on, okay, next I have to do this, changing habits. I don't think there was a one turning point moment for me. I think it may have been my own soul searching. It came time for me to just stop focusing on my body physically, and
Mhm.
look for something else. I was just looking for answers. So that's what we all know. I think that all the answers are inside. And
Mhm.
once I decided to just start to dig within, what made the biggest difference for me in my life, in my transformation, was self acceptance. So I decided to just work on self acceptance for some time, and I started to lose weight without changing anything. And I was so surprised. I was like, wait a minute, what's happening here? So that's when I decided to learn more, educate myself, and understand what was happening, and how can I then, once I accomplished that change, which took me a long time, because I think that's important to know that the path to transformation, to healing, is not something that we can accomplish overnight. And so even though we may be working with a coach, like my clients work with me for a few months, great, but I always tell them this is just the beginning, this is
Mhm.
just the beginning to your transformation. So it takes a lot of time. And it was like that for me. And I still have to do it every day. It's something we have to come back to every single day, like back on the mat, back to the body, back to the heart, back, to love every single day.
Mhm. That was one of the things that I loved and that I actually use. I've used with my clients since, and I always say that, because of you, this is what I share it. But I think what stood out for me so much was saying, come back home. And like it makes me tear up too because we're so everywhere and we're not thinking about, home. And so, like I'll say to clients, this is our body that houses our soul.
Yeah.
So, it's like we're not taking care of this is a thing that houses our soul. So taking care of this thing takes care of our soul. So like reintroducing them to each other and reminding them that they're so close to each other and one works so importantly with the other. They're not independent, they're interdependent. And to take care of this, I think, I just love that visual and then that sensation of bringing it all back together.
Yes, thank you. That because I struggled with weight, which is so physical, right? And it shows up in the body. I
Mhm.
I had a very antagonistic, struggle with my own body. So I never like truly inhabited or loved it. I hated it really, for
Mhm.
so long, and mistakenly, of course. And so now that's why I work on yoga so much and mindfulness and coming back. Like I like to really visualize and feel this home, it makes such a difference. And so I think this is something that we can really take away from cultivate during this time, because
Mhm.
it's one of the most important, one of the principles that we learned from mindfulness practice is to live in the present moment. And we're either in the mind or in the body, either in the mind or in the body. Most of us live in the mind you know,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much 24 hours a day. Even when we're sleeping, some people, their mind's still spinning. So we have to be really careful about that, because the mind wants to take you to the past or the future every single time. So if you
Mm-hmm.
live in the mind up here, you're in the past or in the future. Living in the past can cause depression, and living in the future
Mm-hmm.
can cause anxiety. And so, especially at this time where we're living a time of such uncertainty, where there is so much fear, so much frustration, so much disappointment, so much of all these negative feelings. So the mind can play games with you and make you believe things about what this may turn out to be. So coming back to the body is the best way we can come back to the present moment. So this is really a great opportunity for us to not only connect finally with ourselves and inhabit this body, which actually lives in the present, but also to learn to be more present, so that we don't have to be freaking out so much,
Mm-hmm.
and get feeling so anxious about the situation that we're living.
So, and that's so important, because I agree with you. I think that right now everybody is so stuck of, well, is it going to go back to normal? What's going on? How is it going to be? And we're worried about maybe paying for our bills, and we've got all these things going on. And so, what do you recommend for people to come back to self?
Yeah, great question. Thank you. Um, you do not need, so I think a lot of people, when they think of mindfulness, they may think of meditation, and a lot of people are a little afraid of meditation if they've never tried it. So it is wonderful if you do have a meditation practice. This is the best time for sure, to continue cultivating that, but you do not necessarily have to start meditating if you're a little afraid of it. So there's different ways you can come back to the body. Yoga, of course, is a wonderful way. um, not it's not automatic, because even during the yoga practice you can be up in the mind thinking, am I doing this right? I'm doing this wrong. What's going on, right? Which is one of the things I like to work on during the practice. um,
Mm-hmm.
but what we do through during the yoga practice, but you can also do it just simply at home, is through your breath. You use your breath as the elevator. I like to say, make the journey from the mind to the body all the way down. So take that
Mm-hmm.
elevator that is your breath to bring you down to the body. So every time if you're trying to take deep, long breaths, inhale,
Mm-hmm.
exhale through the nose. That's going to be really important, because inhaling, exhaling through the mouth creates an anxiety response in the body. So we want to be careful. So when I say use your breath, I'm talking about inhaling, exhaling through the nose. Slow, simply slow, paying attention, using the breath to come all the way down. If you have a yoga practice, you can do it on the mat. If you don't have a yoga practice, you can simply sit down or lie down comfortably. If you can close your eyes, we get most of the stimulus we get through the day comes from the sense of sight. Okay, so once you shut that down, if you can just close your eyes even for 1 minute, you will notice how you start to relax a little bit. Now your mind's going to start spinning out, right? This is what
Mm-hmm.
tends to happen. So what you do is you come back to the breath. In a very easy ways, take a quick body scan. So you just place your attention in a specific part of the body. And you don't even have to go through the entire body if it feels like too much time or strange, right? If you've never done it before. And the
Mm-hmm.
most important, I would say, is don't let the mind start judging your action, because the mind will start asking, am I doing this right? I don't know if this is what I should be doing. Maybe I should
Mm-hmm.
get out of, why am I, that kind of thing, which is what happens when we come into stillness, close our eyes and focus within. So
Mm-hmm.
simply enjoy it and go within, go inside with your eyes closed. Open your inner eye and look into your inner body. So you just take a quick scan, and maybe you feel some tension in one part of the body, and you want to just send it some breath. Focus on that. You can just simply feel, because the best, probably most simple, quick way to come back to the present moment is engaging the senses. Okay, so what happens is you want to feel sensations in the body and notice, what am I feeling in my body? How are my legs today? That's all. You're just checking in with your own body, how it's feeling, and you start to connect. It's beautiful. It's not. It doesn't have to be too complicated. Just checking in with yourself, checking in with your body, and like Stephanie said, this is your home. You know, and now more than ever, we want to feel safe here more than ever before, because many people are afraid of what can happen, right? Because we're talking about an illness, that you can um, that you could get. So we want to really be able to feel like your body's protecting you, your body's doing everything it can to keep you safe and alive every single second of every day. So doing that allows you to connect more, and of course, feeling your heart, which is, housed in your body. Coming back to yourself, coming back to your body will allow you to feel safer in the long run. So even if it's just for a minute that you can do that, close your eyes, sit down, breathe, and do your body scan.
I love that. And because, even when there's people saying we're having a little bit of a sound issue, so I'm hoping that it's just now for the live and that it's fine for the recording. But even if people can just get a little bit of it, if you can try to stick around and try to see what you can get. We are going from different countries and sometimes internet access could be an issue. But, if you could try to stick around and see, well, hopefully it's better as a recording. But I was thinking, the fact that so many women that I work with, I mean, who I normally work with is women who are either in toxic relationships or who have left and are looking to rebuild. And so there's a lot of fear of taking care of themselves, whether they're in the relationship or not. And then if they're in the relationship, there's a fear of, how can I even start practicing these things while I'm still surrounded by all these unhealthy things? What would you say to women who have that fear of even starting it because of where they're at?
I think one thing I always recommend to my clients is start really small. Really small, because what tends to happen is when we feel we want to change, and especially now we're living a collective change, so everyone's feeling like, oh, okay, it's time to change. We want to just tackle everything, and be like, okay, I'm going to now have a new routine, and make a long list, because we love making lists, so we can accomplish things throughout the day. No, start really, really small. Make one tiny decision, that you can stick to every single day. I think that's key, because you want to set yourself up for success, not for failure. So if you say, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore, I'm going to do this many things, you will definitely feel overwhelmed and then give it all up very quickly. So if you really want to stick to something, choose one thing that's not scary. One thing, it doesn't matter what it is, something that you can stick to. It doesn't have to be grand. It's one small step. I think this is we're learning a lot through this tough time, is coming back to basics. There's so many things that we prioritized in the past that now we're like, that doesn't really matter anymore. So even if it's just a tiny thing, choose one tiny thing that you can stick to. When you feel like you got that, you can handle it, manage it, that it's already part of your routine, that you don't even have to think or make any effort to do it, then you can think about one next step. Support yourself, if it's just one tiny thing that you notice you're doing differently, congratulate yourself, celebrate it, because the better you feel about how you're doing, the better you will do. So I think that's really important.
I love that. And I think, because I think that so many people lose trust in themselves. So, that's how they self-sabotage, right? Is that those limiting beliefs of all those, oh, I can't do it. So then we set ourselves up for failure because we're trying to do 10 things at the same time, which is completely impossible. And then we say, oh, look, see, I failed again. And so we never set ourselves up to succeed. And then we feel like a failure. So I agree with you. I mean, that's something that's really important, is little things, the little things done over time will become big things. that
Yeah.
grit, that tenacity of like, I'm going to keep going. It's little things, it's the tortoise and the hare. The tortoise is who wins the race because it's slow moving and continual. The
Yes.
hare gets tired.
Yes.
So
And yeah, and we're learning to slow down now. It's like no need to rush.
yeah,
We're
you
not
have
going anywhere right now.
and
Yeah.
and the thing, what's coming up too, I think for a lot of people is, and this seems to be a theme today, is that for me, like when I left my toxic relationship, I had health issues, and I had started them while I was in the toxic relationship, and then I had health issues, and one of the health issues that I got was a blood clot in my arm. And
Mm,
I was always very active. I mean, I was doing like kickboxing and yoga once a week, and then I was doing I don't know, just like whatever intense things you could think of. I was doing those things, and I got this blood clot, and the doctor said, and it was after doing a really heavy exercise, and the doctor said, okay, for like 3 weeks, as the blood thinner sets in, you're not allowed to do any kind of heavy exercise. I said, can I at least do yoga? And they said, no,
wow.
nothing until because if the blood clot could break off and go to your brain, or could kill you. And so I said, okay. So I remember sitting on my couch and saying, oh my gosh, what do I do with myself? And I was forced to be where a lot of people are right now, of slowing down. I went through a depression.
Yeah.
And the depression was because all of these things I had been basically running away from, because I took care of everybody. And this was
Mhm.
the first opportunity for me to really look within. I didn't know what to do,
Yeah.
and it was scary. And I think that's where a lot of people are right now. They're like, oh, I don't have all these things to look at and keep me occupied. Now
Yes.
I'm looking at myself, and it's overwhelming.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, that's another thing I wanted to mention before I expand on that. I wanted to say, you mentioned the intuition, and this is why we want to connect with our bodies. Where does your intuition live? In your gut, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important to feel safe in the body and trust that intuition. If we live
Mm-hmm.
up here, if we're completely disconnected, we are not going to listen to our intuition. And it's what's happened to most of us, this
Yeah.
society, right? We live up here, so we don't trust ourselves. So this is a great way to come back and trust yourself, is
Mm-hmm.
connecting a little more to your body. Referring to what you were talking about, this is fantastic, because I've heard already from some of my clients that they're feeling like they're not productive enough throughout the
Mm-hmm.
day because we're having to change our lifestyle completely. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about self-approval today.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because most of us, one of the mistakes we have made ourselves believe is we equate self-value with productivity. So the more I do, the more valuable I am as a human being. And now it's like, oh, who am I? How valuable am
Mm-hmm.
I? I'm not doing anything really. Some people are actually not able to work even for now. So it's like you said, it's bringing people down, causing some depression too. So
Mm-hmm.
coming back to yourself, breathing, right? Coming back to your body, feeling safe.
Mm-hmm.
But working on your self approval. I like to say, compliment yourself every single day. Give yourself that support that you need, the support, the kindness, the love that you're expecting from anybody. Give it to yourself, especially these days. The problem with equating value, your self value, with what you do is when you don't do, you aren't. And then it's like, who am I, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this is a great moment to come back to yourself. We're human beings, not human doings, like Wayne Dyer used to say.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more about being and celebrating the what really matters. Again, coming back to basics. You're healthy, you're strong. Celebrate that. You have food to eat, you have family, you are protected. Um, Celebrate yourself in every little thing that you can do a day. So at the end of your day, I would recommend compliment yourself for something. Praise yourself for something you did really tiny, like, wow, I actually did my nails today. I did.
Mm-hmm.
I actually did my nails today after like a month and a half.
Yes.
Wow, fantastic. That's great. It's just lifting yourself up for silly things. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter. It doesn't matter how small they are. Celebrate yourself so that you can feel, because your true value does not come from what you do. And now we know that,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
people who do a lot doesn't mean they're safer or they are better or they are, succeeding
Mm-hmm.
anymore. We're all
Mm-hmm.
in the same boat right
Yep.
now. So it's
Yep.
like, okay, let me really identify my value. Make a list of things that make you valuable as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Your own traits, nothing having to do with your job, if possible. It's wonderful, of course, that we get to, work and maybe be of service, but it's not the truth of your love, your value, where who you are, has nothing to do with what you do.
Yep. Looking for that acceptance from someone else, you're going to always be disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
definitely agree. And the
Yeah.
celebrations are so important, like, hey, I got up and I brushed my hair, or my son today was like,
Yes.
why do I have to put on clothes? And I was like, because it's
I put on jeans today
Monday.
for you. Yes.
Exactly. But it's celebrating those things. So I have a question for you. Michelle wants to know, what are some yoga moves that someone might be able to use to help release some of the trauma that they're feeling inside their body?
Ooh, wonderful. Yeah. So you know that trauma lives in the body. So emotions get stuck in the body, right? So something I do every morning and every evening or whenever I need it. And actually, this is not from yoga, but it's from Qigong, which is an ancient Chinese practice that also revolves around breath movement. But you do it in Kundalini yoga, very similar. It's just shake your body. So you just shake, 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 like, you see animals shaking because they know they need to shake something out. So
Mm-hmm.
very simple. Every morning they recommend, every morning when you